I always thought I was the kind of guy who would know if something was wrong. Call it a sixth sense, or maybe just the way I was raised to pay attention to the little things. That's why when Emily started pulling away, I noticed it right away. It wasn't big stuff at first, just tiny moments where she seemed distracted. At first, I chalked it up to work stress. She was a lawyer at a high-powered firm, and I was a simple guy with a decent job in sales. She'd come home late some nights, saying it was just a rough case. I didn't mind, everyone has their moments. And when she did come home, I made sure dinner was on the table, the house was quiet, just like she liked it. I loved her. I thought she loved me. But then things started to change. More small things at first. She wasn't as affectionate. The kisses felt forced, and the way she looked at me like I was some stranger left a pit in my stomach. I tried to brush it off, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Then came the phone. I wasn't the type to snoop, but I couldn't help myself when I saw her acting weird with it. She'd step out of the room when it rang, always texting with her back turned toward me. I told myself I was being paranoid, but in the back of my mind, I knew something wasn't right. Something was off. And as much as I hated it, I couldn't ignore the feeling that it was all slipping through my fingers. It got worse when I met Thomas. Thomas was everything. I wasn't rich, charming, and with a life that seemed to revolve around luxury. Emily met him at a corporate dinner, and it was clear from the moment I saw them together that there was an energy between them that I couldn't replicate. The way she laughed at his jokes, the way she touched his arm when she spoke to him. It made my skin crawl. At first I thought I was just being jealous. But then the small things started to add up. She'd go to work events I wasn't invited to. Thomas was always mentioned in passing, but not in a way that seemed casual. And when I tried to bring it up, Emily would always shut me down with the same excuse: "It's nothing, just business, don't be insecure." But I could see through the cracks. I wasn't stupid. One night, I followed her to one of those business dinners and parked a block away. I watched her enter a high-end restaurant, arm in arm with Thomas. The way she looked at him like that, it made my stomach churn. I went home that night, my hands trembling as I ran through the worst scenarios in my head. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe she'd found someone who could give her everything I couldn't. And that's when the thought hit me. Maybe she was already with him. Maybe I was the one she was waiting to leave behind. I wasn't sure what to do with this feeling, but the universe decided to give me a push. A week later, Emily told me she wanted to talk. I felt my pulse race as she sat me down in the living room, her eyes avoiding mine. "I've been thinking," she started, her voice strangely distant, "and I think we need some time apart." My heart dropped into my stomach. Time apart. Was that what she was calling it? Time to figure things out. I opened my mouth to speak, but she raised her hand, silencing me. "I think it's best if we end things." I felt the world go still. End things. The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. She wasn't even looking at me, her gaze fixed on the floor, her hands fidgeting in her lap. "Emily, you're serious?" I managed to choke out my voice hoarse. "Why, what's really going on?" She hesitated. Then, like a dam breaking, the truth spilled out. "I've met someone else." Someone who— she paused, struggling to find the words. "Someone who can give me what you can't." "Sorry, I need more." The silence that followed was deafening. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. I just stared at her, watching the woman I had loved for years crumble before me. "I've been seeing him for months," she continued, her voice trembling. "And I'm in love with him. I'm sorry." In that moment, it felt like every ounce of air left the room. My vision blurred. Thomas? The rich guy. She'd been seeing him behind my back the entire time. I stood up, not sure where the strength came from, but I knew one thing: this wasn't the end. Not for me. Not yet. 2 weeks later, I got the invitation. Emily and Thomas were getting married. The email subject line read, "We'd love for you to join us in celebrating our new beginning." I had to laugh. They thought it was all over. They thought they'd won, but I wasn't finished yet. I had spent the last few weeks digging. Emily had left a trail wide enough for me to follow. Pictures, receipts, text messages, all of it. She thought she could leave me for him, but she hadn't counted on the fact that I wasn't going to let it go. The day of the wedding arrived, and I knew this was my moment. I showed up at the church, standing in the back row, feeling the weight of everything on my shoulders. The priest was there and the guests were seated. The ceremony was about to begin. Then came the part that every couple dreads. If anyone knows of any reason why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever, hold your peace. I stood up. The room went silent. I saw Emily's face go pale as she turned to look at me. Her hand shook as she gripped Thomas's arm. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice calm but with a sharp edge, "but there's something you all need to know." I pulled out the phone from my pocket, holding it up for everyone to see. "Emily," I said, my words slicing through the tension, "has been cheating on me with Thomas for months. She told me everything, how she fell in love with him, how he could give her what I couldn't. All of it." The room erupted in chaos. People stood up murmuring, their eyes darting between me and the bride. But the best part, Thomas's face, his smug grin vanished. His eyes went wide as I revealed the texts, the pictures, the lies. He tried to say something, but I wasn't done. "You think she's going to be your prize?" I sneered. "She's a liar, and I'm not the only one she's betrayed." The priest looked horrified, the guests uncomfortable. But Emily, her face a mask of disbelief, couldn't even speak. She just stared at me like I was the one who betrayed her. The confrontation was all over social media within hours, and by the end of the day, Emily and Thomas's wedding had turned into a disaster. But that wasn't the end of it for me. I knew what I had to do. I walked away from that church with a sense of relief I hadn't expected. It wasn't just about revenge, though that part was sweet. It was about reclaiming my life, my dignity. Emily called me later, furious. She begged for forgiveness, but I didn't need it. The truth was out and she couldn't hide anymore. She tried to explain to justify herself, but I was done. In the weeks that followed, the whispers died down. People had their opinions. Of course, some said I had every right to do what I did, while others called me petty. But for me, it was about one thing: taking back control. I had no illusions about Emily. She made her choice, and I made mine. I left the past behind, and started living for myself again. As for Emily, I'm sure she's still with Thomas. I hope he enjoys the version of her that doesn't lie, at least not until she gets bored of him too. But me, I'm better off. And I've learned a valuable lesson: never let anyone make you feel like you're not enough. Because in the end, they'll be the ones who regret it.